Coming up on Crossfire Collectibles, we have the G.I. Joe Muskrat custom build, tutorial, and review. Stick around. What's up and welcome to Crossfire Collectibles. Today's video, we're going to be doing a custom build, tutorial, and review for Ross A. Williams, aka Muskrat from G.I. Joe. So a little bit about Muskrat. The figure was first released in 1988 as part of the Real American Hero line. He had two more follow-ups in 89 with Night Force and 93 with Battle Corps. A fourth came along as part of the Modern line in 2013 with the Joe Con Nocturnal Fire set. And again, this was part of the Night Force Modern era. And then finally a fifth version in 2015 as he came in the release with the G.I. Joe Collectors Club Figure Subscription Service Volume 3. Over the years, Muskrat appeared in various comic books and coloring books and became a fan favorite among younger kids, mainly because of his swamp tactics, the accessories he came with, including his machete and his skimming board. A little about Muskrat. He spent his formative years up to his knees in a Louisiana swamp or two, hunting raccoon, possum, and wild boar. He was able to hold his own against poachers, gator skinners, moonshiners, escapees from chain gangs, and smugglers. Army Ranger School and JWTC seemed like summer camp to him. When he was tapped for the G.I. Joe team, he was sent to Advanced Warfare School. By the time he graduated, he was teaching a thing or two about swamp fighting. Muskrat is adept at crossing swamps rapidly in his swamp skimming board, his tactical flotation device that is strong enough to dissuade snakes, alligators, or even wield a ballistic shield to deflect arms fire. It can be used defensively to silently knock out an enemy combatant unconscious or exfoliate a captured agent or freed prisoner unable to navigate the terrain as swiftly as himself. Neat little background. So we kind of have the figure assembled. I have some parts I was going over and piecing him up and seeing how he looks. His upper and lower torso, arms, and hands are going to be used from a Pursuit of Cobra Duke version 42. His legs and feet are from a 50th anniversary Beachhead version 17. Various accessories, you got the shotgun, the rifle, backpack. They're all part of just random figures that I was digging through my fodder and found. And then the hat, head, vest, belt, machete, and skimming board is all from Avex Lab. Alright, now for our markers that we'll be using. Here we have a Gundam marker GM177, and this is a silver. And we may use this to do the barrel of the rifle. Add a couple accents to the vest and probably the backpack. I may leave the machete OG looking because it has that really pale light blue. I'm not sure yet. I'll decide as we go on. For our black, we have a GM301 pour marker. Whites of the eyes, we have a highlight pen. Here we have a Real Touch pink, and this is for our lips. For the hair, I'm a little undecided, so I may do two colors. These are both Real Touch markers. We have a yellow and an orange, and these will probably just give a couple accents, throughout the hair and highlights. For his fatigues, we have a few greens here. So this is a GM187 Gundam marker. This is dark green. Another Gundam marker, TM09. This is a 30mm green. And we have a Gundam Real Touch green. So I think the greens will work best. I like the choice of the Duke figure that we went with, especially with the POC arms. He has some camouflage already on him, and I like that touch. It gives the figure a little more spoof. So now I guess we're going to go ahead and disassemble the figure and get him ready for painting. So I think we need to add a red line onto the bottom of this skimming board as well. And maybe a few red accents on his backpack. But now I'll go ahead and take all this stuff off. Get the head popped off. And I'm not going to go with the shirt torso as the FSS figure did. I think this torso that came with the Duke is absolutely fine. it kind of fits a little more and makes him feel like he has some body armor on underneath of the vest. Let's go ahead and pop these legs off. I do like the camo, but I think I'm going to go with my own camo and just do it in greens. But it'll look good. All right, we got everything unassembled. We're going to get our plate and we're going to start painting. All right, so we'll bring this in, figure out what pieces we're going to go with. I like this green. We may end up not even painting these, just adding some colors onto them. But I think we need to start with the lower part of the torso and give that an actual green to match the legs. So we're going to go ahead and start with those, and we'll adjust our camera and then get started with the paint. Alright, I think that'll do it for our left leg. I like how I left in some of the existing camo on them legs, and it kind of works pretty good. May go back over it and add a little bit more, but we're going to go ahead and get a stand, plug this onto it, and let them dry before we go back in and get the insides of them knees. And then we're going to go ahead and move on to the upper leg. Alright, so here's our upper leg. Now, gotta carefully try to set that down to dry. A few touch-ups we're going to have to do on there. We couldn't get in all the way all over it to, I guess, get around that side pocket. So we'll go back with some black and touch that up. And now we're going to go ahead and do the inner thigh. All right, so there's that. Kind of ran out of room, so we'll have to go back and get the I guess the upper inner thigh. And now we're going to go ahead and wait for the knee pad and then move on to the right leg. Okay, so we have our legs painted. This marker here pours a bit, so it didn't come out as well as I wanted it to, and it went over a bit on a lot of that camo, but that's all right. That's nothing we can't deal with and fix later. While we still have this green, we're going to go ahead and get this lower part of the torso done in the same color. All right, there we go. So the green on the lower torso will now match the legs. So we'll kind of sit him in an awkward position so that'll sit up and dry. So I think while we contemplate on what parts to paint next, we're just going to go ahead and do the head while we decide on that. So we'll get out our white marker, and like always, we'll start with the eyes. Alright, so there's our white. Now, we're mainly going to sit back and let that dry before we move on to the X-Acto knife to cut that stuff off. And I need to get out the fine point, which I actually forgot to go over with our markers. I always forget something. But here's our gun marker fine point black. That'll be our eyelashes and pupils. Alright, so we'll give this a few minutes to dry, and then we'll go ahead and touch it up. All right, there we go. So them eyes were a little more difficult to get into, but we got them. Now let's go ahead and get out our fine point, and we'll add those pupils and eyelashes. All right, there we go. So now we kind of just need to do the hair for this. So now we just got to get this Q-tip stuck back up into the neck. And I think we're going to start with the orange and then go over it with the yellow to kind of blend it in. So there's our head so far. I'm actually pretty happy with the orange. I don't know if I want to do any yellow into it and, you know, slightly discolor it, but I'm going to do a test spot just to see how it looks. See, I kind of like that, so maybe we will go ahead and just go over it. If we want, we can go back over it with the orange again afterward, but it's looking pretty good. Alright, that works. Kind of gives it like a dark red hair. And now I'm going to go ahead and attempt some eyebrows. I think that kind of works. Maybe we can add a little orange into them eyebrows as well. I think we're good with our head. Now we need to set that back and let it dry. And we'll look at the accessories here. I think I'm going to leave the shotgun alone. We'll add a little bit of accents onto the backpack. So we need to get that red out. We're going to go ahead and just use an acrylic red. See how that looks. Might have to do a few passes on it. Alright, there we go. So we're definitely going to let that sit back and dry. And then while we're at it, we're going to take out the little skimmer device and get that red stripe on the bottom. Alright, so we have a kind of base red stripe down. We're going to set that back. Now that's got to dry. But now I think we're good to go back in and finish up those areas in the legs. They're dry to the touch. So we'll go ahead and finish those up. Alright, so we went back in and did our touch-ups on our legs. I set them back. And we got to get these knee pads done. I think I want to do the knee pads in just a bit of a darker color, but we got to put them back on first. So now the brown doesn't look too bad on these like that, but we got to go with a another color. So maybe we'll try the Real Touch green and see how that looks. Might be too shiny, and if it is, we'll just go back over it with another color. Alright, so I actually kind of like that. Not mad at it, but also think it's okay. I'm going to go ahead and do the other one now. So there we go. They kind of look a little too shiny, but I think it'll be okay. When it dries a little bit, it kind of give it a little bit of a more dirty look than kind of what I'm looking for. So that might actually just work. So I'm gonna go ahead and set that aside. Now we need to break out our black. And we're gonna put black around the ribbon on the hat. All right, there we go. So we got that around our hat. So now we're going to go ahead and go in and add the black accents to the belt straps on the vest. Alright, so I think we have our black belts done. And we need to add some silver accents to the buckles. All right, there we go. So we got our silvers on. Now I think it's best to set that back and let that dry. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring our rifle out. And I think I'm gonna attempt to put the silver on the barrel. It's gonna be very difficult. All right, so we put that silver on some of the barrel. Had a bit go over, so we do need to touch that up. We're gonna actually let this dry first before we do that, and I think it'll look pretty good. But while that's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and start assembling the figure. So we'll get these legs put back on a further peg. Spin it around. One thing I did forget that Muskrat has is some green around his laces. So we're going to go ahead and add that in real quick. So for now, we're just going to leave it on the bottom portions, not the top. I think it looks pretty slick like that. And we're actually going to touch up a little bit around the boot edges where the pants meet with some black. Alright, so got some black around that. We'll do it again once we move up higher around the thighs. Let's go ahead, bring that torso in. Alright, there we go. We got the legs on. We'll put the screws in them, but first let's go ahead and touch up the black straps. Okay, got our touch-ups around our legs. So now we're gonna set this back, try to stick it back on the stand if we can, because we don't want to get in there and touch any of that stuff we just did. So we may be one-footed for a minute. Now we're gonna let that dry for a few minutes. At least I'll let the black dry, and then we'll go ahead and put the screws in the legs and finish the assembly. All right, now we're back. We're gonna go ahead and put those screws in the legs. One thing, I decided to leave the belt out because I don't think it quite fits that waist. It's a little loose on it and kind of hangs down further than I want it. So for now, I'm just gonna leave the belt out and off to the side. But now we're gonna go ahead and get our screws and our little screwdriver, and we'll secure them legs into place. All right, legs are on, nice and tight and secure. Go ahead and plug him back into the stand. And now we want to get that vest on. So we're just going to feed that arm back through. And over the neck. Get that side up. And then we're going to bring this in and secure it. I normally do this with a dab of glue to assure it stays, but I think we'll be okay. All right, vest is on. We'll go ahead and bring in our head. Should be good and dry now. I like how the hair turned out. And then we're gonna go ahead and pop that on. Matches the skin pretty well too. Take our backpack. Feed that through. Right there. Get our rifle and our head out of here. We can get rid of the plate. Now, I still need to do some touch-ups around the barrel itself. So while we still have our black, let's go ahead and just add that onto it. See if we can kind of fix it a little bit. All right, I think that'll do it. Put a little around the end of the barrel. And then get our black out of here. Go ahead and pop his rifle into his hand, right there. Bring in the boonie hat, and slap that into place right there. Oh, I don't know why we have two stands out, but it's all right. And now I chose to keep the machete in the original OG A Real American Hero color, just for, you know, nostalgic purposes. We're going to go ahead and load that into this hand. Kind of have it up like that. Now, while I do have the shotgun handy, I don't think we could fit it on there, but I'm going to see if I can kind of pry it into the backpack, almost like it's being held. So yeah, something like that. And then he's got his little skimmer, which may be a little damp still, but we're just gonna set that right here, right on the side of his leg. And I think that's our muskrat. Turned out pretty good. We're gonna go ahead and get some more light on him, toss him up onto the turntable, and give you some final thoughts.
G.I. Joe will return after these messages.
Be sure to check out our previous videos. A link will always be pinned in the comments.
Now back to G.I. Joe.
All right, so here you have it, the G.I. Joe custom build, tutorial, and review for our Muskrat, aka William A. Ross. And I'm happy with it. He turned out a little bit better than expected. The colors I chose, I think, were, you know, pretty good and swampish that I needed, and I think they worked out pretty good. I went ahead and added a little more loadout to him. He now has a pistol and suppressor on his right holster, as well as a knife in the boot sheath. And yeah, he looks great. I'm pretty happy with it. Kind of lengthy, especially, you know, some of the things that we had to do, even though it looked like most of the parts were already, you know, done and ready to be assembled. We still had to wait for a bit of drying due to, I guess, mixed paints and all that good stuff. The pour marker went well around the belt area on his vest, so just a little dab and it filled in the areas that we needed. I wasn't overall happy with the barrel of the rifle that I was doing, but I think it came out fine. It looks good. There's a little bit of bleeding underneath the black around the rest of the stock of the gun, but overall I think it's fine. I thought there was a cool touch to leave, you know, kind of the OG color for the machete. It really gives a more classic feel, almost retro-y. And apart from that, I'm very happy with it. I decided not to put the skimmer underneath his feet and just kind of put it off to the side, like maybe he's stopping, you know, somewhere out in the swamp and he hears something. He's like, hold up, what's going on? So that's why I kind of had it leading up on his leg. But the choice of parts, yeah, they worked out well. I especially like the Duke pieces I used, especially with the arms. You know, you got that camo that's already mixed in. There's a little bit of dirt, and they worked out really well. So overall, I'm probably mainly happy with the arms of the reused pieces that we used. But apart from that, you know, he came out great, and I'm happy with him. Feel free to go back and use the parts that I used to make a custom for yourself if you plan on doing one. And if not, check out other ones. We have plenty of other videos up, and we have more coming. Hopefully, I get a couple things that I've had ordered for the past 4 weeks in by next weekend, because I have something I really want to do. This is somebody I've never ordered from before, and I decided to get a custom torso from him. So we'll see what happens with that. I'd like to get that done, but if not, we'll do something else. But that's going to do it for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed what you saw. If you did, please, like always, leave that giant thumbs up, subscribe, tickle that bell so you're notified when I post future videos. Be sure to follow us on social media, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.